Welcome back to the 10th episode of the Let Us Cook podcast. An episode number I didn't think we'd get to, if I'm being honest. But, we are here. I didn't. What do you mean, Tento? What do you mean?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, Tento's here. We keep bringing him back. And we have a special guest, a guest from across the pond, you could say. We got Falk.
The invader from Europe.
Yes.
You might not think I'm from Europe based on how I sound, but yes, the British infidel.
The invader that we invited, yes.
Yes,
Can't let them know about the secret.
How you feeling, bro? How you feeling, Falk?
I'm doing good, Lord Tento. How are you? How are both of you?
We're happy to have you here, man. We're happy to have you here because we got some things to discuss about UFA and how the pro competition / MK1 is starting to take a turn when it comes to points, qualifiers, as well as maybe some possible changes in the system mechanics here that we're probably going to have in the near future. So speculation, if you will, guys.
Yeah, I will say, Tento, we got lucky with this episode because it's the first time in a while where we recorded and we didn't have a ass ton of news to cover.
I mean, well, Quan Chi did pop up,
Quan Chi did pop up, but like the last episode we recorded, we had to talk about top 8, the 12v12, the patch, Omni-Man, like...
Yeah, we did have a lot there. Okay, you were lying about that. We had more bang.
We got Quan trailer and we got a top 8. We got a top 8 in France to talk about because we had UFA, which was like, what was it, like 2 weeks ago, something like that?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks ago.
Less. I don't know. Well, not less.
Yeah, like a week.
It was about 2 weeks.
It was.
I don't know.
Was it? Yeah. Actually, wow, it has been a while. It's been just under 2 weeks.
Thanksgiving weekend, 2 weeks ago.
Time goes crazy, man.
It really does. Truthfully.
It really does. But I think before... Do we want to talk about Quan before or after? How do we want to do this? Do we want to bookend it or do we want to just open talking about...
I'd say we start off now because it wasn't much to go off of yet. We only got like a little snippet of them. Like it's not too much going on yet. We didn't get a combat cast reveal or anything like that. So we could talk about them now. So
we got tentacles though.
Man, that's going to open up so much stuff in other categories that I do not want to speak of, but we're going to focus on the man himself. He looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely like what was shown. I'm definitely digging Chameleon as well. Mm-hmm. My biggest thing is from when it comes to just the future of these combat packs, I'm more excited for the cameos rather than the characters because the only character I'm legitimately excited for is Takeda. But when it comes to the cameos, that's the name of the game here. So Chameleon has some interesting stuff because some people's like, oh, I think she's gonna be just another Shujinko, but it looks like she might have a little bit more depth to her. It looks like she switches stance type beat. So we're gonna see. There's no preloading things that we had to do like we do with Shujinko. It's just straight up. You want Katana, you want Melina, you want Jay, you cycle.
Yeah, I mean, Chameleon's interesting, right? It looks like we could basically have another Tremor kind of situation where they just giving them straight up variations.
Literally.
But the only 3 we've seen have been Melina, Katana, Jade.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I wonder if there's going to be any more or if that's it, I can't really imagine it would be any more than the 3 and then give them a few different special moves, in those kind of variations for the cameo. But ultimately interesting. I think all of us that, like Bacon Lord, myself, and quite a few other people were thinking straight away, how does this work with Kenshi?
Oh, yeah.
When watching the trailers.
Missouri's out there.
But honestly, I think she looks really cool, though. I like the idea of adding in these cameo characters and giving them the variations so you have the kind of flexibility of choice and how you approach, maybe if you're playing certain matchups differently, based on certain kinds of styles or options that the cameo can provide you with. And even things like Jade Glow is pretty huge for so many reasons. Currently we are in what I would call the horrible timeline where we are dealing with Lao Hat and Striker grenades. But we have one tool to rule them all, and that's Glow.
Right. I mean, I guess we're just going to talk about Chameleon for a little bit, because I do think that it's the more interesting thing to talk about with the cameos. I I do think it's cool that they're tying some unique mechanics to these DLC cameos, right? Like Tremor, obviously, you had the gimmick of variations. I don't know if they'll do variations again with Chameleon, because it feels like a weird thing to do twice in a row. But I mean, the moves looked interesting. I think the one that caught, I mean, Glow obviously is a big one, right? Because we all know how good Ice Armor is for sub, and if you can just have Glow plus like other utility, that sub doesn't really give you. I mean, that right there can make you a top tier cameo. But the one that jumped out to me was the kind of Jackie leap that she gets with Katana.
Oh, with the fan?
Yeah.
Right, like
that
behind him. Yeah.
That
when I saw that made me mad. Brother. Please.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Launching Kenshi.
Dude, you can't just like attach Kenshi to all this stuff, man, and just be like, oh,
well, I'm sadly I'm going to have to, because the first thing you guys said was, oh, I wonder what she can do with Kenshi.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what naturally went through our heads. That's what we do with all the cameos that are going to be shown, right? But these tools are going to be like really applicable for different characters that Chameleon's going to bring to the table, right? And I mean, you just got to put it into perspective. Like, think about Glow with someone like Shang. That just seems really annoying to deal with, and it just enables him to be able to keep you away.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you want to talk about like cameo synergy and stuff, I mean, there's no character in a game that doesn't want something like Glow, right? Like, it works well with everyone. That's one of the reasons that we see sub cameo so much, is like, who's going to say no to projectile immunity and like launchers? Which, I mean, like a lot of Chameleon stuff, it looks like it's the Glow and a lot of launchers, and we saw the projectile, right? So it's like, a lot of pretty universally applicable tools in that kit.
We didn't see much from Melina, did we?
She had like ball roll and like some air psi attack that looked like
it was definitely the air psi that caught my attention.
Yeah, it was like one of those combo extender ambushes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a Sonya one or like a Scorpion one, I guess.
She seems really versatile, but the thing I'm thinking about is like, if you think about it, like what Chameleon's doing between all three of these different styles of like Melina, Katana, and Jade, it seems like it's going to be really strong anyway. I guess, just like speculating about it. But I wonder if it's going to be one where you choose one. Like, did we... I can't really remember, but based on the trailer that we saw for Quan Chi, did we see like Chameleon switch like mid-game?
I think we did.
Okay. But, so it probably will be like Tremor then.
Yeah, I mean, it's because like I feel like Tremor is a cameo that when I think everyone saw it, they're like, oh, this is gonna be ridiculous, it's gonna be crazy, and he has been that wild, but that's mainly because of this. I feel like the stance switching mechanic and the the cooldowns on it for the ambushes that kind of like hold him back from becoming this crazy cameo for the whole roster. So like that's my big concern with Chameleon is that, all right, she has all these tools and like, I mean, just an abundance of moves. I think we saw like 6 unique moves in that trailer, but how do you manage it? Are they just like all there, like how most cameos work, or is there some sort of resource or something I have to manage in order to cycle through this stuff? I mean, there's a chance that it's RNG. I mean, if you just go off like historically how Chameleon works in like the before times, it was RNG. So I mean, that could kill the cameo.
This is interesting to me because I barely know how Chameleon worked in the previous games.
I watched the ketchup and mustard video. That's all I know.
Freaking nerd. It's okay, man. We love you. But yeah.
Okay.
The RNG aspect would be tedious, because that will definitely make someone like definitely die down using her, because like imagine you have the RNG to like think about what route you gotta do on the fly. You just like, please give me Katana so I can get in, and then you get freaking Melina and you're like, brother, like that would be just man, that would definitely be frustrating. I would definitely put her more down in the cameo series, in my opinion, because like that would just make me, that would, if it's RNG based for real, it would deter me from playing her
for sure.
Truthfully, like I wouldn't be able to do that, bro. Like it's like, brother, I really had to do rock paper scissors and then hope I get the right thing, and then you just gonna look me start smiling as I get Melina and I can't get in. Leave me alone.
That's like really chaotic, and it sounds kind of funny.
It does sound hilarious, but like,
But I do. I guess it's something to think about because I didn't even think about that. I had no idea that Chameleon was even RNG based in the old games. So it depends on if they want to stay true to that, right?
it's a new timeline. Don't do it, please. New timeline, please. Don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for a little bit of RNG in a fighting game. I think it can be fun, but it has to be like, it can't be like the whole aspect of the character. Otherwise, it's like a gimmick. But I mean, I'm not saying like I expect it, but I don't think they'll do variations. I think it'll be something different.
I guess time will tell. What are we thinking about Quan?
About Quan Cheesy? I mean, Quan's a weird character because like in the two like modern NRS games he's been a weirdo kind of in both. In one, he's dog shit, and the other, he's like ridiculous. But MK1's kind of a ridiculous game, so I can kind of see him just, leaning into that. And like, I mean, he's doing like a lot of the stuff he was doing in the trailer. Like, there was like a lot of like setup stuff with like the weird like bone cage that he puts you in. Which is
the thing that kind of looks like a little trap, right?
Traps you in there. And I'm just imagining like, it has a lot of startup, but I'm just imagining stuff like summoning that like full screen and then there's just low hat on the ground.
Well, I mean, yeah, look at some of the like launch situations he can get you into. It just seems like he would have so much time to be able to, like end the combo early and set up like the bone cage, but we don't know what the property is going to be like on that or how you're going to enforce it or anything like that. But
cage.
Visually speaking, Quan Chi looks the coolest he's ever looked, in my opinion. All of that shit and all the weird portals with the flipping like old gods or whatever coming through. It's sick. I love it.
Yeah, the Lovecraftian angle is a really fun take on the character.
We're gonna see. Like, he's definitely look like he's still his zoning type with mystical. He's got the traps. He's got the skulls. He had like one. He had one of this. I think it was a special where, or it might have been a string. I just saw a whole skeleton just get formed and just decompose. I was like, what the? Yo, this character's crazy.
Yeah.
So like, I can't wait to see what he actually plays like. But yeah, only time will tell. We don't know what the next combat cast is. We're doing this before they even announced the combat cast. But hey, when that next combat cast hits, it's going to be incredible.
Isn't it like
it's probably going to be like
this weekend or something?
Yeah, 14th, right?
Yeah, probably maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday. Honestly, I mean that's like normally.
They usually make it on a Wednesday.
Yeah, something like that. Could be tomorrow.
It'll be like the day before he comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, we're recording on the 5th, so it could be tomorrow, and you're just listening to this, calling us idiots because you know all the answers.
Yeah, I can't wait for the inevitable comment saying, actually, you didn't watch the combat cast, so you don't even know about all of this stuff. You're just talking about Quan Chi.
I'll welcome comments on the podcast.
Like, please.
That's based.
We need to get some engagement going,
Always. We definitely need some business engagement coming on through. But yeah, that more or less for me, like my closing thoughts. Quan Chi looks cool. Chameleon seems interesting. Can't wait to see what both of them do. Time will tell. Quan releases, I believe they said December 17th, something like that.
I'm hearing loads of different things. I've heard it was like the 14th
I think it's 14th. I haven't heard 17th. I think I've heard 14th.
I just remember I was just going off I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It would help if I did my own research, but
we can spread a little bit of false information on.
You're right.
On the episode. It's okay.
Mid-December and then sometime in January for Chameleon. I've heard. So yeah, we're gonna get time to get our hands on.
All right, that's the cheesy boy, I think.
Cheesy boy.
Let's talk about this top 8. Let's talk about the thing that we had to take notes for.
I want to say off rip, Javier is my MVP of the weekend.
Javier balled out, but before we get into this top 8, Falk, you were actually there, and you put in work. You put in work at the event, both as an analyst and as a player. I think you got out pools, right? Put in that work.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So
the 17th place curse.
Hey, man, there's a lot of players out there that would love to be cursed with 17th at a major. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be one of them.
I had the most villainous mindset going into the entire bracket. So how do you fight someone with nothing to lose?
Especially when that person is piloting Kenshi.
Exactly. And then when I get stream time on stage, I'm dropping everything. It was great. Like, nah, but like, the event was amazing. Honestly, because I've never been to an American major, I don't know. I can't compare it based on anything like that.
Right.
But in terms of European majors, there's I've always loved going to them because the vibe is always great when you're hanging out with not just the NRS community, but just the FGC community, like within your own region or international players or anything like that. You're basically hanging out with an entire niche community that just do the same thing you do. So it's always enjoyable for that. But obviously seeing everyone from the NRS and seeing a bunch of people who pretty much have only played online, or people that you've known since like MK11 or earlier, and then actually seeing them at this offline tournament because of it was stacked. We had 128 players, 129 or whatever, but there were probably like 110 killer players there, and it was crazy. But yeah, you could tell that there was a lot of work put into this event. The UFA team didn't disappoint.
I mean, the production value was sick for this event. I mean, they had like a crazy stage for the top 8.
Yeah, dude.
Sick as
UFA
fuck.
is
That stage was showing the characters being picked, and then it would show like the mini characters next to them for the cameos and everything.
UFA production is always chef's kiss. I want to go so bad, bro. Damn, German looks so good.
There were some players. I do have to touch on this though. There were some players I wish could have made it. There was one player in particular I really, really wish he could have made it, and that's Gotham City Goon. One of our UK boys.
Heard his name.
He is a ridiculous Johnny Cage. Genuinely ridiculous. And in my personal humble opinion, I think he could have done really, really well over there. And really impressed a lot of people that might not have seen what he's played in. He was previously known as Sonic Ninja. So a lot of people knew him from the local tournament, but obviously, he changed his name because it's when you've got Sonic Fox and Ninja Killer both running the scene. It's like,
It's
all
he's had that name for
algorithm.
years. Yeah, he's had that name for years, and he's just been forced off it in a way. But he's now individualized himself under the brand of Gotham City Goon, and the way that he plays Johnny and Lau is just crazy. He's been playing it since day one. Practically impeccable neutral, really, really strong player. So it would have been really cool to see him there. But the players that did attend obviously put on a hell of a performance.
Yeah, I feel like this event in particular had a lot of drama on who was going to attend and who wasn't. I know Tekken and Foxy almost didn't make it, which, I mean, who knows what that could have meant for the bracket. But, luckily Tekken showed up because, goddamn. But, yeah.
I don't think anyone expected TM to be there as well. He just appeared. Same thing with Foxy. Yeah, they both literally just appeared, and anyone that was in their path, just can we curse? Is that
I
a thing?
literally had to redo my bracket because of Foxy and Tekken Master, so I say from the bottom of my heart, I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but god damn it, both of y'all.
Yeah, everyone just kind of collectively crapped their pants. That was in their path. And
showed up.
It's just two demons just showed up, right?
The worst.
And I love that
timeline.
Yeah, demons is right. And on that note, do we want to talk about this top 8? Want to go through it?
Yeah, we got to go about that.
All right. Well, this first
AK
match,
Star, and Javier. What's the first
so
match?
Axstar is he's an interesting dude,
Definitely.
funny guy. He knocked VGY into losers.
Yes,
and made the winners top 8.
That really threw me off too.
He, as far as I'm aware, was doing really well, and I think it was the Rips Arena PC League. I think he won that. Really good Reiko. when I played against him, I know he played Lao, but I don't think Lao was like a tournament character for him, so he was just on Reiko the whole time. Originally from Lebanon, studying in France and stuff, he plays a lot with the French community, and he's apologies to the French community, he's been mopping them left, right, and center. Honestly, he's been destroying them. So seeing him come to this offline was really cool because I've not known him pre MK1. And just seeing him put on a hell of a performance is really good. And obviously, in terms of Lebanon, we also had Faisal Combat show up, who was quite a hot topic player from the Middle Eastern scene. Plays a lot with TM. I don't know if they're training partners, but they play a lot together. And this dude, who you would have seen on the USA versus the World exhibition, is I'll try not to tangent into that stuff too much. But basically, Axstar had, he came into this basically being the underdog against VGY, who is fresh off the back of a top 8 performance at ECT, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, unfortunately, Axstar didn't have the best success in the top 8, but I was watching.
He was to the top 8, and the man was definitely cooking.
I mean, he was putting work, especially with Striker. I mean, we'll talk about Striker a lot today. It's kind of the theme of this episode.
Striker and Lau are probably the two most picked cameos, right?
Oh, not even close.
Like Strikers literally play like ass. I'll cover you. That's all it is. That's literally what Striker does.
Yeah.
And Raiko plays that game pretty well. That's what Axstar was pretty much running. Raiko's Striker. You slide, you throw grenades to keep yourself covered, or you can slide, know it's going to hit, and then use grenades to convert. And then on top of that, what's beautiful about Axstar, his gameplay was the fact that he was zoning so well, and then zoning too well to the point that people forgot that Raiko has a command grab, and then you get gripped and you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that element, bro. Like it was a very hit and run tactic that he was doing pretty much all the way up till he got to the top 8. But then Javier, the man just showed you guys like, hey, Scorpion, you guys how I put this in bottom tier?
Yeah, Javier has built an entire foundation on a playstyle that's just made to annoy people. Fighting against him is probably one of the most frustrating things that I've seen people have to do, because he is willing to take his health lead and make you chase him all the time.
Yeah, he's
not a super risky player. He's just willing to basically, throw out what he needs to in order to secure his health lead, and then just play in a way that is going to frustrate you. He's going to force you to chase him. He's going to force you to make mistakes, and then he's going to capitalize on that.
Right. He feels like Scorpion in particular feels like a Raiden, but instead of rushing you down, he walls you out. Right?
Yeah,
so do a lot of similar things with like poke into spin into cameo, and I mean if you're not like sharp on your flawless blocks, I mean he can kind of like just win the war of attrition just by chipping you out, and that puts a lot of pressure.
He was he was definitely in a weird spot after the Cyrex nerf, because he was a big proprietor of using Scorpion Death Spin into horizontal chopper and stuff like that. So I know he was dabbling with Lau and whoever else, but Striker really suited what he wanted to do. So he clearly found a way to make Striker work. And the set between those guys, Axstar did really well in game number 1. The way he won the first game as well was sick, because he got that crazy read, caught him with the anti-air, I think it was, got the full conversion on him into Fatal Blow, killed him. And then he fataled him after game 1, which was crazy. I mean, I respect it. I respect that a lot of it.
The show. Falk, you got to give the people the show.
But you also got to win the set if you do that.
Yeah, that too. That's a true thing too.
It's about setting a message.
The fatal still counts.
True. But to be that highlight alone from Axstar was sick. It was really good. But after that, Javier just locked in. It was just a clean sweep for him after that.
That really I really appreciate, which is why I consider my MVP, is like in this game you kind of have characters where it's like, why wouldn't you play this character versus this character? Like Scorpion to me is like, you see how like Javier was playing Scorpion, you like, why aren't you just playing Raiden? But the thing is, he loves Scorpion. That's his character. And he showed people that's going to make it work. It's like, when you look at it across the board, like Scorpion and Raiden, they pretty much do the exact same thing when it comes to chip out with rope dart slash storm cell, zoning. Except with Scorpion, his spear, he gets a full combo. Teleport to run away, and just really just air mobility, and like it becomes that tedious chase down between them after they chip you out for quite a bit of time. Except Javier really loves that Scorpion piece, and it shows with his air conversions, with his poking the special at all times, is always making sure, like, hey, guess what? You got to come to me when I get this life lead, as Falk said. And that's what really separated him from AK Star. And like, also the thing is, AK Star, well, as you said, he put that fatal blowout, and then Javier was like, okay, let me lean forward. And that was, I think it was 3-1 after that, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was kind of crazy because it was almost like Javier was min-maxing so hard during the fatal blowout, and he was already thinking about, okay, well, I lost like this. It gave him more time to just think, hit the rematch, go straight into it, and after that, it just didn't really like come down as neck and neck as it did before. Javier pretty much swept him after that, knocking Axstar down to losers. And yeah, and we had another match in our hands.
Well, I think before we move on, there's one more thing I want to mention, and that is, I think a big contention point on Scorpion is his mid string, and that mid launcher put in work this set. I mean, I don't think it got ducked or punished once.
Yeah, the mind.
What's the mind game, right? It's either it's like the mid into striker,
or it's back to spin.
Oh yeah.
Back three, whatever it is. Yeah. 4-3.
What was back three?
I don't even know what it is. It's
the
4-3.
Back three is the low chain. Yeah, the mid.
I think it's 4-3.
Yeah, back three is a low chain, and 4-3 is his mid.
Yeah, it's like 4-3 spin.
Two. It's 4-3-2, and then 4-3. 4-3 spin.
4-3 spin is how you make them respected.
Yeah.
And
then obviously you got the striker to cover you. It's just your only option, I think, in that case, if he times the striker right.
Yeah.
Flawless block just to mitigate the chip.
Right, but I mean, if you're worried about that spin, if you're thinking about, okay, I gotta get ready to flawless block this thing coming up next, he can just let the string rock, and you're not ready to punish.
Exactly, yeah.
And that just helps his shimmy game his strike throw game so well. But yeah, good shit to Javier. And next up, it's Kanimane with the Raiden versus Tekken Masters Baraka. And this was 3-0.
Kanimane was another one. Yeah, it was a 3-0, but we'll be seeing a few of those. Kanimane was another player, pretty much just online. A lot of people knew him from Rip's Arena performances.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid is insane. I think he's like 16 or 17. He's really, really good at the game. And I mean, obviously, he made winners top 8 at UFA, which was no easy feat, to be honest. That tournament was really stacked. We had players who didn't even make the top 8 that were crazy good. You know, Gambler went from the US. We had Josh TQ as well from the UK. Lock Corridor, Disarded. You know, literally like Evo Online winner. These people didn't make top 8.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of new faces in this top 8 in particular. Like when I think of like European NRS games, my mind doesn't go to players like Javier or Kanimane immediately, right? So it is cool to see. You know, I mean, obviously you still had like players like VGY and Foxy in this top 8, but a lot of new talent. I think really debuting at this event.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the people that had pretty much made a name for themselves online, especially through MK11. It's like the new generation, right? Now they're actually coming to the offline competitive space. And that's what's impressed me the most about these two, specifically, you know, Javier and Kanimane, is that they don't have the offline experience. This is their first time doing it. And, well, you know, like definitely at this scale, they might have attended like small stuff here and there, but I feel like it's pretty normal for people to get nervous. But they seem to have just kept their composure the whole way through and play in that same level of comfort that they probably would have done at home, which is a very difficult thing to do in and of itself. But Kanimane, yeah, Raiden Kano against TM. Tekken Master played the same team the whole top 8. Baraka Striker.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think with a character that I think a lot of people were kind of down on after the Cyrax nerfs. I mean, he's just showing that like Baraka at his core is still kind of solid, right? Like,
solid ass character.
I mean, that down 4 from Baraka is such a good button.
That is one of the best down 4s in the game.
Yeah,
was that 10 frames? That's
something like that. It's like 10 or 11, but it was putting it.
reach is incredibly far. Hella plus on hit. I think what the Middle Eastern scene was saying is they believe Baraka to be top 5, like Baraka Striker to be top 5.
I can believe that's a top 5 team.
I don't know if I would
honestly
go that
believe it.
far, but it's
I could be-
argument.
it
I
covers
could
a
be
lot.
misinforming, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
Yeah, I
I
think
can definitely concede the argument there.
Yeah, and I think for
a
me,
great
like just
show.
looking at like Tekken's play style in this whole top 8, it was very defensive. It was very backdash heavy, and the thing about trying to chase Baraka is that he has his projectile, which is like okay, you know, but he has his down 4, which makes it so you really can't chase him with like a lot of characters advancing highs, and he has a standing 2, which is one of those,
exactly.
which is one of those like jab buttons with a lot of range and good startup that's just going to interrupt a bunch of stuff you're trying to do. Yeah.
It's a really, really good play style because especially when you're fighting against Lao or Striker, characters that are trying to make the most of other people being able to work their way in essentially for free. He's making them chase, but he's also threatening the idea of being able to, he's almost testing you and teasing you that he can dash up, down 4, check you, make you think you want to jump or something, dash up, stand 2, kind of like walk up back dashes as well, just to kind of get a button out of you, bait a poke out of you, using back 3 a lot to try and shimmy people or like, just catch a stray button. And TM fundamentally is incredibly solid. I mean, how many times have we seen him basically at the top of competition? Dude's no stranger to playing with the best of the best, and he is one of the best. So it's one of those things that when you're playing against a player of that caliber, and they're playing in a way that almost mockingly plays how you are trying to enforce your game plan on other people, and he's doing the same thing to you, he kind of has the neutral control.
Yeah, I mean, Tekken Master just looks so confident in his neutral like the entire weekend, to the point where just him like creating space felt like just backing off and creating space felt like he won that interaction. Right? There's like a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everyone that plays MK1 knows about like kind of like the backdash mind games where it's just like, oh, like I'm gonna do a train, then I'm gonna backdash, I'm gonna bait it down 1. But in a lot of these situations, Tekken, where like a lot of players would have down 1 and got baited, Tekken would just backdash away. He's like, he's not going to play that game. He's just going to go back to playing neutral. And I mean, when he's out neutraling everyone in the tournament, like that's a crazy thing to leverage as a player.
Yeah, especially when he's out neutraling, these players that made winners top 8, these other players that looked basically on fire the entire weekend. A lot of really hard-hitting players. TM was just on a different level, to be completely honest.
For sure.
It was a very, very clear, different level. But I think that how he was playing was a real eye-opener for the players that played against him. Because now it only motivates and pushes them to push that level even more, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people were talking about like after this event, it's like, oh, I want to see Foxy Tekken. Like, I mean, he just looked like he was on a different level from like this was more dominant than Foxy's win at ECT or Sonic Fox's. My bad.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was just like a steamroll. Like Sonic had like multiple people in the bracket that like Dialogue and Splash took them to 3-2 when they were when they were fighting, and that was in top 64.
That Splash side was crazy as well, and the Dialogue one, right? The Shao.
Yeah. I had Dialogue taking it over Sonic, and it almost happened. I was very sad that it didn't happen, but like,
dude, I feel like I've heard this person's name before, and then they're just playing some insane Shao Kahn. I'm like, oh hell yeah, dude! Like, I can get behind this.
They played Spawn and Terminator MK11, and then they actually took out Nephew at this year's Street Fighter 6.
For real?
Street Fighter 6. So like they've been like, Evo, yeah, Dialogue has been like a very strong player. So yeah, like that was an amazing set. And like you starting to see that, but yeah, like you just said, Tekken Master was just on a completely different level. Like I love the whole set between Tekken Master and Kanimani because it was definitely like that young versus old aspect, and you saw the experience definitely kick in for Tekken Master side of things compared to Kanimani. But like one thing I'm just hoping, I legit just want to see 50% of the players that was at UFA. I want them to come to Combo Breaker because I'm gonna just have my popcorn ready, like truthfully. That's gonna be just such an amazing goddamn weekend. If at least 50% of the players for UFA all come to CB.
There were some actual like crazy players in attendance. If they were able to go to Combo Breaker, that'd be huge. I'd love to see players like Faisal make it over to Combo Breaker.
Please.
I was like, wow, dude, you're a robot. Like, you can tell this guy plays against TM all the time, but he didn't even make top 8, and that's crazy to me.
That's how stacked the events were, and that's why I'm like, I want Aki Star, I want Faisal, I want Tekken Master to come, I want you. Well, I know you're going to be there, and I want Fabs to come through. Like, I truly want everyone to come through, and like all those everyone, all the best players at CB. But that last offline event is going to be insane. But I don't want to get too much in that because we got to focus on UFA here. Yeah. So yeah, Tekken Master like just kind of steamrolled over Connie when it came to just the pressure of Brock, and just like, man, he was having a tough time. He was just having a tough time chasing him down. Like, truthfully, that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think moving on, unless we have anything else we want to talk about that set. But
no.
This was a fun one. VGY versus Baki.
Yeah,
this is 3-2 Baki.
Go for intent. So Boki is someone that just this guy just does whatever he wants. I respect it so much. He's did you watched ESL for MKX, right?
No. I got a better story actually, Falk. The man Boki came out to LCQ for MK11. He actually came to our local, and I actually fought him. And when we are in losers finals for MK11 actually out there, it was so crazy because like I didn't recognize his name, Falk, until I saw his face on stream. I'm like, that's Boki. I'm an idiot. That's what the. I can't believe I forgot about this man. Always.
Did he have the dangerous top knot then?
Dangerous top knot.
The Reiko hairstyle. Or was it short hair?
It was a little chilly outside. I think he was wearing a hat that day.
You're asking Tento to remember pre-COVID stuff.
Yeah, that is.
That was like the dawn of COVID.
That was literally
this guy. So there was a particular player that I would like to think put Vienna. Sorry, I'm stupid. That's a city, Austria, on the map. And that was Storm during season 2 of MKX. Storm's Takeda, right? Yeah. Was crazy. That guy would run a train on so many people. But there was another player that came from Austria, and this player was the embodiment of I will do whatever the hell I want to do with Kung Lao. And he was a Kung Lao loyalist, and that was Boki. Boki also made ESL finals. He did play MK11 as well. But I would like to think we had a bit of a drought when it came to Boki's competitive performance. A lot of people that were playing MK11, or a lot of newer people to the scene, or people that may not have watched the MKX ESL runs or anything like that, they wouldn't really know who Boki is. Maybe some people just hear about his name through the grapevine or something. But when he was at this tournament, and we knew he was at this tournament, we saw him, we had a good feeling that he would do well. Because he literally does whatever he wants. He's a very intelligent player, and he plays like an intelligent crackhead, and I respect that so much.
This is exactly the perfect way to describe it. An intelligent crackhead. An intelligent, fully functional crackhead. Man's OD. I'm just so mad that I did not recognize his name. When I saw it off rip when I was doing predictions. I was like, wait a second. This name sounds very familiar, but I need to see his face, and then I realized who he was. But yeah.
So he wasn't at Viennality, but he turned up for Pro Comp at UFA. And I mean, what do you, as you both were watching from home, what did you think about the VGY set between him and Boki?
I felt like, well, a big thing that caught my eye was the team for VGY, and that was Shao Darius. Because we've seen this team for Raiko, where you're using Darius, but you're not really using it for much of utility. You're using it to get big damage off an important mix-up tool. And VGUI was trying to enforce that, but it kept getting armored.
Didn't care.
Every time Darius came out, he would get slapped in the face by this
Shaolin Shimmy enhanced.
and then Goro coming in for the 1-2. And to me, it felt like VGY was in a constant uphill battle because he never got to like run his offense, right? He would when he would call Darius, he would either get interrupted or he would just drop it. There's a few unfortunate drops with Darius. And I feel like he never got to play no-ax Xiao. Like, he never got to run the no-ax offense because he was just...
He was always a threat of armor, right?
Yeah, so, like, you know, you can't... It's hard to run an offense based on, like, you know, Oki and, like, the plus frames you get off 2-2, and, you know, you can't really enforce that overhead or command grab when you got to deal with this plus on block launching armor coming out. So, I mean, it was a close set. It was 3-2. It was by no means a stomp, but it did feel like an uphill battle for VGY.
It was a reverse 3-0, was it not?
I don't
Wasn't
think so.
Wasn't it a reverse 3-0? I'm like...
No, I'm pretty sure it was like back and forth like the whole set.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a reverse.
But that last match especially was crazy.
The proxy
It
OS.
was one of those things that like VGY just hitting the stand 2 into the fatal blow buffer. Like everyone was screaming when that happened.
The man's a nerd.
Just to tie things up over there, but Boki at the last round completely in control. It was honestly just a really good set. So, and obviously, like Xiao Darius is just not a team you see. VGY was a firm believer in it. He did have a few points, all of which I have forgotten, other than safe overhead. But he believed that Darius was, you know, good for Xiao at being able to enforce his offense, and I don't think he was able to enforce his offense because you're dealing with, you know, basically a jump space's worth of distance on an armored reversal and Goro to keep himself plus. It's just kind of like you have to respect that, especially how fast you can build meter in this game. And Boki was really good at choosing the right times and being really intelligent about when to use his ignorance. And it just worked out in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, the pace of the game was changed so drastically when Boki had resources compared to when he didn't. It was kind of wild. But that's what that character does. I mean, Lao, you know, at like the final game of this set, I mean, Boki was just had him so conditioned with the armor and neutral, it was just dash up throw like multiple times around.
Yeah, I think it was probably just a lot of conditioning, really, right? Like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean,
just being able to make sure that your opponent is respecting the armor, therefore they're less likely to check you on the way in. And the moment you force a team that is built around what I would consider to be a lot of aggression with Xiao Darius to be the one on the defensive, you've kind of won at that point. I'm surprised we didn't see a character swap from VGY though.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was working on like Havoc at Vianality. It was like Havoc and was it
Havoc? He does play Shang as well. I think he plays
Shang,
Johnny too.
Shang at ECT, I remember.
I'm surprised he has a decent Johnny because I know he has he's always practiced with, but I'm surprised he didn't pull out because, you know, he's also a Xiao loyalist and he's seen Xiao work, he knows Xiao.
Well, he definitely had his reasons, right? Like I think VGY is past the point of just being a loyalist for the sake of, you know, being like loyal to your character. When he's a serious competitor and he's playing for these pro comp points and all these different wins matter the most, he is going to basically throw that into the void and he is going to say like, all right, what's actually going to get me the win? So he had to have had some really strong like belief in this team that he could make it work, and he almost did. It's just that Boki and a lot of people watching who were newer to the scene that didn't know Boki were probably like, who is this guy? You know, VGY essentially lost to two people in this tournament that I'm sure a lot of people outside of Europe or people that might not have watched Rips Arena didn't really know of.
And that's the thing, Falcon. I'm liking right now is like I'm excited for pro competition because I hear people like, "Oh, who is Buki? Who is this? Who's that?" I'm like, bro, like this, and they're like, "Who is euphemism?" I'm like, bro, the thing is, you guys have not been.
Use euphemism. He's at like every U.S. major ever, I swear.
Bro, like it's like I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like you guys came in during MK11 online where a lot of these guys had dropped it out and then went to their real life. So then like a lot of the like you have some like MK9 heads, you got some MKX people that's been trying out the game and playing, and they're like, oh, we got new players. I'm like, no, you have returning players going against you, new guys. You guys think you guys are you've been solidified. Like you guys haven't been in the scene that
We
long.
live in a timeline where they wouldn't even know someone like Rio.
Like,
that's crazy.
Man, y'all don't even know who Rio is. He's considered like top 10 all time NRS, and I'm positive none of you guys at MK11 even know who that is. It's like, oh my god, and that's why I'm really excited for this time because you have these new guys that's coming out, like Connie Mani, who and I'm very happy with their performance. Not trying to spoil anything, but I just did. But like,
You can spoil
like, I'm
it.
very happy that like they did well, and you get to see like this new talent come up, but as well as you see the old like the old heads and the people with experience, the veterans, still kicking it. And
We had a
still
really
doing
good
well.
mixed bag between it was about half and half, wasn't it, in
Yeah.
this top 8, where you have like seasoned competitive players obviously coming in from your ends of the earth with Gur. And then you've got like, Foxy been around since MK9, Boki, from what I know, has been around since MKX,
Yeah.
TM as well. MKX is like really, really like kind of players that have been playing for a good few years, and with a lot of competitive history under their belt. And then the newer blood players, or online centric players like Kanimani and Javier and Axstar, and really just giving us some insane matches throughout the entire top 8.
Like truthfully love it, and this is why like we are in a peak competition. I'm just loving everything about this right now. And yeah, like between that Boki and VGY, it was just simply like back and forth. But like as Bacon would say, it was that armor. Like towards the end, it was just like becoming very, very tedious for VGY to deal with, and he was starting to second guess on certain situations, and that got Boki that dub. It did.
Yeah.
Then that last set, Bacon. That last sector heartbreaker. Who would have thought that would have been an instant that loses top 8 match?
Speaking of heartbreakers, let's talk about Gur's match. We have Gur versus Foxy, and this was a banger match. I mean,
It was.
not even a match. This was a war. I mean, this went the distance.
That was definitely a war. You're not lying about it.
My lord.
That said, right there, it sucked because these are two fan favorites. Foxy for his trolliness, but like Gur from his wholesomeness. Like that's the thing about this set. And these are two players that a lot of people know and love. And seeing that both of them were in loser side of top 8, knowing one of them had to go home instantly, was actually insane to think about. When you look at everyone in the top 8 and you see those two in loser side, I know people were looking at their heads like, what the hell happened in this tournament? And that's the beauty of like seeing just new blood come up and new strategies come around. It was like Bacon had said, it was a war of attrition. Like it was Gur using Geras and Foxy running the whole tournament pretty much katana. Pretty much Gur trying to get those clocks up, get the rewind time, but then later in the set you're starting to see Foxy starting to adapt to that, starting getting those full screen fan conversions and making him waste that bar early. It was just see who's could rush down who and who can set up what first. And Foxy was just doing a great job. What was his camo he was using again?
He was loud.
Wow.
Wow, yeah, like man, brother, like that was just such a good set,
Yeah,
man. It truly was.
It's interesting because, like, in this set, it was obviously a zoning war, right? But it wasn't a lot of counter zoning from Gur because I feel like he can't really contest Katana unless he has snaps. So it was more about like, okay, Katana's gonna run away. She's probably gonna get the life lead early. But can Gur like find the windows to get the hourglasses going? And then once he's stacked up, and if he does get the life lead, then it's hard because then Katana's gonna chase him, and he's got rewind. I mean, maybe the best move in the game, rewind. I mean, it's insane. But
To add on to what you said as well, it basically was just like a war of attrition between both these players.
Right.
Like it was Gur constantly trying to find the opening that he could to get you were just mentioning, like find the snap. If he gets caught, have the rewind available. And then Foxy being wise to that and making it that much harder for him to even do anything. But can we talk about the first game and how that ended?
Oh, the timeout?
Yeah, the timeout.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like Gur is always involved in these crazy timeout matches. Like
He's going the distance, bro. He's gonna make you work to get in on there. He is Father Time Gearus. You're gonna respect that clock, no sands of time, okay? South of Prince of Persia.
yeah, you gotta do more than however like 950 health that Garrus has. He's got more health than that.
The man dead ass had 1500 health at one point. I actually kind of calculated. I think it was actually I'm sorry to blow my man's up, but I think it was a set versus him and Josh to make top 8. I'm positive one of those sets. I think it went to like Gur had 1500 health. If you add it up all the time, you rewind it. Like it was.
Oh, for real?
I don't.
That's crazy, dude.
Gosh.
I don't think I want to do the math. I feel like it would scare me.
Like Jesus.
I just can't be bothered to do the math.
I've never played anything like that before. That was so crazy.
It was definitely wild, but like someone pointed it out, and the difference in HP between them was 0.03. So this was a really big eye opener for so many people that didn't already know that it was based on the HP percentage for the timeout. So Gur having 950 HP versus Foxy's 1000, that 0.03 was a lot bigger than anyone might have been, thinking about.
Right.
Which I did talk about during the analysis of that timeout, because it was a really big miscalculation on Foxy's part. You must have not known about that. I think it was the sweep right at the end on block for Gur that actually ended up securing him the win. I don't even think he knew he won. Like he looked shocked after that game, like when it said that Garrus wins. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's at that point. It's like it's so close, like visually the life bars. And I mean, like in that moment, like you're not taking the time to actually read the number for each character's life bar and actually making the calculation in your head. It's just you just gotta hope at that point. Try to get the last hit in and hope it works out.
I think there was a situation where Foxy could have punished something and he didn't. He might have missed it, or he just wasn't ready for it, and then he opted to run away. But that choice to run away was what caused him to lose that match.
Yeah, and Foxy was pretty sharp on the punishes, right? Like I said, actually the overhead.
Yeah. He was catching like the back 2-4 punishes on that, pretty often.
And like both these characters, like they got really good runaway, but I think it's also they're so hard to approach because you can't just corner these characters, right? Because Katana, she has the square wave just to switch sides very easily, and if you're trying to chase down Garrus, you got to deal with that like mid-screen 50-50 with the overhead and the sweep. But I mean, being able to have like a button like Katana back 2 to punish those overheads from Garrus, it put in work, especially early on in the set. Got a lot of damage and forced a lot of rewinds out of him.
I think Foxy might have been a little bit hesitant on overcommitting to many punishes as well because of the rewind. And obviously, if you're using like back 2-4, down back 1 or whatever with Katana, you're probably making yourself open to being punished if he chooses to rewind at those times. So you're quite limited in what you're able to get from the punish options. That's just purely based on what I saw and what I could think about. I could be completely wrong about it, but it makes sense to me. Because there were some that he just genuinely missed. And I think Gur was doing a really, really good job at making sure that every single opportunity, like if Katana was in recovery from throwing a fan, he was able to set out like an EX hourglass and just have that in the bag. So at that point, it's really just if you throw a fan at the wrong time and Gur reacts to it, he's snapping. If you catch him or you do anything and stop him from being able to enforce his game plan, or you punish him, he's going to rewind. So he was really good at playing that kind of that tit for tat with Foxy.
Yeah, another thing really nice about that snap is if he does trade, if it like gets interrupted, he keeps it. So he can kind of just fish for it. And unless Foxy pauses in his zoning to like try to bait it out and block it. I mean, it's just a constant threat. But yeah, I mean, great on Foxy for being able to play it out. I mean, such a patient player. I'm sure he feels more comfortable than most players in a matchup like that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a match that was definitely not slow paced. That was Kanimani versus Boki, and this match was very funny to watch at 2x speed when I was rewatching the top 8. It was very funny.
That was Johnny versus Lau, right?
Yeah, and this was an interesting set because it felt like you kind of saw some of the weaknesses in Lau. Like I feel like, you know, when you're playing this against a character in like Combat League, and you just got to deal with the plus on block armor, you think like, how could this character ever have problems? I mean, this is insane. But I mean, he really only in this set, I mean, against Cage, he really only won neutral interactions when he armored. Outside of the armor, I mean, it was kind of rough in neutral. But I mean, the rounds Boki did when he exploded on him. That was like a big thing I took note of. It wasn't this slow pace.
They were
like,
steamroll, right?
Yeah,
like steamroll situations.
Yeah, and it's like because you can't play neutral with Cage if you're Lau and you don't have armor. Like you have to just, you know, if your ability to fight Cage in neutral is tied to your resources, you have to explode on him when you get the chance. But yeah.
Yeah, the match between them, I think, was a really good indicator that Boki likes doing what he likes doing, but Kanimani was just looking solid, really, really solid throughout the entire top 8. And it seemed like just after that one loss he had to TM, after that, he just completely locked in. If you didn't see him on the Raiden again, he switched to Johnny Lau. And then after that, it was really just, he seemed a lot more comfortable fighting anyone else because you could tell where he was focused on, right? Like he wanted the run back. He wanted to basically plow through everyone. He wanted to win.
And the one thing I did notice that he used Johnny a lot was it was parry. Like really making people second guess off of the parry situations with Johnny. You saw that a lot up until his set against eventually Tekken Master. But like in that Boki set especially, like you saw Boki like, damn, well, I want to take my turn back. What kind of punish can I get over? There's always like that split second when even when you don't commit to something, you see Johnny Perrin. Everyone has a brain fart like, damn, do I have a low starter? Do I sweep? Do I poke him? Do I do a neutral jump? Like it's always that split second, like when you read it, what you do. So that I say the parry also played like a big factor in like
for sure
making Boki decide like, damn, do I approach? How do I? And then when you do read it, like every person I've seen, I don't really see too many neutral jump punishes on Johnny's parry. I just see people kind of freeze up and then like, oh yeah, sweet poke, and then they'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny's just a character where you have to be so on point in the counter poking game, just because he has a 9-frame mid, right? If you hesitate at all, if you're just slightly late on your button, like the 9-frame mid's going to check you. And if you're too fast, if you're not patient, if you're not baiting out that parry, he's going to get insane reward on his reversal, which is not that's something that Lau does, right? But not everyone gets to do that, and it's just so strong in this kit where he's got to deal with these plus frames, these 9-frame mids, and oh, by the way, maybe a top 5 reversal in the game in EX parry. But
Man.
And then you got Lau as well, right? Like Lau cameo giving a character without a projectile, giving them a lot more presence in the neutral, giving them so much more flexibility. And when you have Johnny with the 9-frame advancing mid, like you were talking about, the 1-1 being like, what is it, +3, 6-frame down 1, like he just has so many resources at his fingertips to make sure and ensure that he can keep it his turn. And if you're blocking, there's always the possibility of him using the low hat and still keeping it his turn.
Right, just gives him another layer to all his offense, and you know, just gives him like a little cheating way to get in sometimes.
So yeah, I mean that's the character I know Kanimani for is Johnny. So yeah. I was more surprised to see him play Raiden. It's not like he has a bad Raiden at all. It was just like, I wonder what he thought about it. I think he might have regretted picking Raiden against TM, but after that, I guess it was a real eye-opener for him. That loss might have just humbled him a lot. and he thought about it, stuck with Johnny the rest of the run.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, and you could tell that like Bulky wasn't able to get away with as much because you're playing with like a younger player that doesn't have the same definition of, you know, like right and wrong in MK as a lot of like older players might do. He's literally doing what he wants, and there is no like, you know, like black and white, right and wrong or anything like that. It's more like the new players are willing to speed things up and take a few more risks, commit to a few more hard reads or anything like that. And it was really just sort of like we were watching a Battle of the Ages at that point.
Yeah, it was fun. It felt very, you know, it was 3-1, but I felt very good about Akane Mauni coming out of this. Like he played very, very strongly in this set. So if we have anything else we want to say about that one, or we can move on to Oxstar and Foxy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down to move on. This was a battle of the spammers.
Yeah, this is
and one spammer won very convincingly.
That boy Foxy.
It
was like
I feel like this is where we see some of the reasons why Raiko Striker isn't the most popular team. It's just like if you're fighting a character who's not playing in that mid range, right? Where he's not playing in grenade range half the set, and Raiko has to spend a bar to get a mid projectile. Katana doesn't. So there were like so many times in this set where, you know, Oxstar would get the life lead, and then he would back out to try to zone with it, and then through the zoning war, he would lose it because he doesn't have his mid's on a resource. Foxy's isn't.
Yeah. I've heard from Reiko players that Katana just makes it really hard. She just clearly outzones him, and Foxy just showed exactly why that's the case. He obviously just has that game plan. That's what he does with Katana. He will just lame you out, and Axar looked. Honestly, he made a few really good attempts at trying to stop it. You could tell he was trying to like make some really good choices against Foxy's like held low hat jump down back twos to get out the corners or get out pressure situations and open up space, but to no avail. It was really just a projectile war a lot of the time because they have to try and enforce their presence in the neutral, and Foxy kind of just ran away with the entire set.
Yeah, and you mentioned like the square wave from Foxy. I mean, it's just something where it's like you can't really just play patient in this matchup, because if you're just playing patient, they're just going to square wave and get out of the corner. You have to make a read there. You have to make a call out to try to catch him. And you know, when you're playing this team with Striker, where you're not really getting the grenade range that much, and when you do land a hit, like your damage output is not, you know, comparable to what Katana's doing. It seemed like a rough matchup.
Add on top of the fact that he has 950 health too. Oh,
950, yeah.
It definitely did cause some problems there towards the end as well. So like, it was just showing like it was a zoning war, but like Fox was just showing like, yeah, you know, my projectiles are kind of better when I'm full screen away, and I have a decent amount more mobility. Like,
yeah, Reiko's movement isn't exactly great, right? Like he's gonna have to commit to the run or the slide or something to be able to make like a quick on the fly decision about closing space really quickly. Couldn't really get much of that going. It really was just Foxy controlling the neutral for 3 games straight.
Yeah, truthfully. Not to mention, I mean, Katana back 2 is more than good enough of a button to compete with Raiko's back 3. Like, it's just like tough. It's if you're playing a team that really leans in on Raiko's kind of ability for space control, you're just gonna get outmatched by a Katana. You know, I don't know if a more explosive team with like a Darius, like a Tremor, I think Tremor wasn't legal for this event, but a team like that, you would hope would just like out damage him when he gets in. I don't know if that would be better.
Yeah, like basically make like
Yeah.
the times you can get the hits count a lot more, right? So then although he's zoning you and stuff like that, even if
Right.
you were to take chip damage, it doesn't really matter because you gain strong life lead per individual touch.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, this is like maybe the only set I saw in this top 8 with Striker in it where I just didn't feel like they were getting value out of Striker.
Yeah,
Weird,
100%,
because
100%.
That's such a good cameo, but it does have limitations with its startup and its distance. But yeah. Anything else we gotta say about this, or do we want to talk about winners finals with Javier
Yeah, that was
and Tekken Master?
Yeah, that was just a zoning war, but yeah, Javier and Tekken Master though. This is
Another
this is
3-0.
when it was a 3-0. Yeah, this is where where we really seen, like, we realized there's no one that really understood Baraka and Striker, because like you can tell a lot of people like, wait, Baraka's on the screen again? Wait, what's going on here? And then they saw grenades being thrown, and they saw Chop, and like, oh, he's playing like ass. Oh,
Yeah.
I gotta get. This isn't fun.
He was playing so good, honestly. And do you guys mind if I shout out one person's thing on this?
Shout out everyone out.
Because Masher put out a really good little analysis video on the last
just like,
round.
Dude, my goat, Masher.
high score, yeah.
Masher truly is the GOAT. And he broke it down perfectly. Every single thing that TM was doing, if you apply the same insight to any of his matches, any of his rounds, he was playing so intelligently. So even when he chooses to do something really ass and he has Striker to cover him, that was done from a point of intelligence, which is crazy, right? It's really oxymoronic, but he's just hella good.
Oh, make sure you guys know, like, when I say play like ass, it's like I mean, like, it's like, I'm saying it in a joking way, but like it's legit. You can play how you want because Striker can cover you. That's what I mean by that when I make that statement. And that's basically.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to like subtweet you on the podcast.
Oh no! I know. I was just making sure I clarify because there's some people that really that look at that like, bro, you don't even know. I'm like, bro, like I'm literally joking half the time. But yeah, like Falk, like what Falk was saying. Big shouts. What was his name again?
Masher.
Masher. Yeah, Masher.
Goat?
Masher and L, the GOAT, the king
like-
of the Cento scientists, the lab monster.
Really the
break
only
it down.
scientist that we have, to be honest.
Yeah, he's the scientist, the engineer, and the technician.
Definitely, you break it down, and like I say that, but like he had ways to pretty much cover himself at all times. That's the big thing about it. It's like,
He never left himself exposed to risk, right?
it's a chess not checkers type of moment. You always find a way to cover yourself from every option to make sure your opponent second guess it. And what you really saw was like grabs started coming in more as you saw Tekken Master playing, because once he realized you're second guessing too much, I'm gonna get a throw so I can get 2 stocks of grenades being thrown instead of just 1, because it was a time like, he goes to pressure, then by the time he goes to pressure, he usually has another rep of cameo grenades that he can throw. But with that throw animation, especially that back throw one, he has decent amount of time for him to get the full cameo bar back so he can go right back to grenades throw. And that's what started to happen when people started showing that respect. And then, when you take a turn back, as we talk about stand 2 for Baraka, it has such good range, and Striker Grenades has decent amount of hit advantage. Like, there's a lot of times where like grenade got hit and then Tekken Master had enough time to micro dash stand 2 and get a full combo.
He did it with the intent, knowing full well that you will take the bait, and then he's got the grenades, and he called the grenades late on purpose for that kind of stuff.
That
like
sucked for Javier.
Right, and that's something that Cyrax didn't really do. Right, so like this character, like he lost a lot of damage with Cyrax, especially we lost a lot of damage in general, but especially off his back throw. Losing that is a good shot. Like losing 10% off one of your throws is a pretty significant. But where he's losing, some of the pressure, he's making up for it in how much better grenades are in neutral.
And just being able to always keep yourself in a position where you can just get trade combos, and cash out on that. So like, he was able to put out a higher damage per touch before and on block, if not flawless blocked. but now he's like able to essentially find a higher frequency for the amount of hits that he can get and how much reward he can get out of that. So like he's getting lower damage more often.
Yeah, and also if you were a Scorpion player watching this top 8 and you were getting really annoyed with Javier for making people think your character was good, I mean this is the set you point to, because Tekken Master did his homework. I mean he looked totally prepared for this matchup. He was not letting Javier just run his chain spin in the striker game plan. He was. I feel like a lot of times when you have an assist like a striker, like
you're just making him chase in.
Yeah,
Like,
and when you have one of those assists, those ambushes, a lot of the times the timing to make it jail and keep you safe is not exactly the timing to make you really plus. But most players are not going to challenge those gaps, right? But Tekken Master was doing it. He was doing it to Akane with his Raiden and Kano, and he was doing it to Javier, where if you're trying to get cheeky with it, if you're trying to call the assist a little bit later to get a little bit more frame advantage, he's going to down for you. He's going to armor you. He's going to check you. And in this set in particular, we talked about earlier the backdashes from Tekken Master. If you did jail it, right? Tekken Master was not playing the post chain spin striker guessing game. He was just backdashing. He's like, all right, we're back to neutral. Like, I have down 4. That's going to beat your stand 2. Let's play neutral some more,
Yeah, it's just absolutely wild. And this was kind of like what I was talking about before, where TM takes your game plan and he's going to make you play against it. So Javier obviously being able to check people with far-reaching Scorpion low with grenades, finding his hit and being able to run away, finding his opportunity to teleport and stuff like that. He couldn't really do that at all. He spent the whole time trying to chase down TM, and every time he could, it's like TM's ready to kind of dash in and check him with anything. Bait him into situations where he might be desperate for a punish, and then he gets clipped by striker nades. He was essentially playing this whole top 8 to perfection.
And it just made it tough for him to get in. Like that dude's brain, pretty good brain. Okay, so
very wrinkled
brain.
It's that brain's been putting in work for a while.
It definitely has. Like, it's so funny because I'll always tease Tekken Master being a tier whore, and then like he will never. He will never not play a character that he doesn't find cheap. That's one thing about Tekken Master. He will never not play a character that you will see that is like you're gonna say like, why is he playing this character? No, it's always some dirt that character has. It's always something cheap, and it's always considered like it's usually known by like at least a decent amount of people like that. It's pretty kind of stupid. And that's the thing about Tekken Master and his playstyle. Like, he
refuses to play any bad characters. Like, anyone he doesn't consider to be really good. Like, he will never, as a serious competitor, he will never put himself into a position where he is at a disadvantage.
Exactly. Like, it rarely happens. So that's just the thing about Tekken Master. He definitely.
Do you guys remember the tweet Honeybee put out years ago when he came to Hype Spotting in Scotland, which was a 10K event, where he was like, I don't know who this guy is called Tekken Master, but he's running a train on people.
With Devore?
No, he was doing it with a few different characters. But
I remember from Kodal back in the day.
I remember. No, I just remember specifically.
This was tournament before he went to Evo.
Yeah,
right.
And Honeybee tweeted about TM, saying this guy is a problem. If he comes to the US, he's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, like MKX was like the first event where we really saw international competition, really
go that close, right?
Off. I mean, like obviously, internationally they always had scenes, but there wasn't that crossover at events. And Tekken Master was like the boogeyman, right? That was the guy who everyone outside the US was like, this is the guy to watch out for.
So I was at Hype Spotting when all of this was going down, and the reason why I know Tekken Master was always on his villain arc is he was using Imposter Shinnok against Bio's Ferritor.
Oh,
And that looked like the most
yes.
excruciating thing in the world for
Just
Biohazard.
Free command grabs.
It looked like hell on earth.
Like,
Right.
Jesus.
And that was the indicator that TM is willing to do this for the win, and I respect that so much. He's never changed it. He's always been that kind of player where he will play whatever fits how he wants to approach the player matchup. Sometimes he will factor in like which character is good against which character, but he also plays the player matchups. He knows ways to make something work very well, and obviously proved why allegedly the Middle East scene thinks that Baraka Striker is top 5. When you have a player of that caliber piloting that kind of team and clearly like basically stomping top 8 for lack of better expression, then yeah, that's that right there. Maybe people just weren't too familiar with it, but TM was on a rampage.
For sure.
That guy's too good. He's just too good.
I mean, that was 3-0 for Tekken. Do you want to talk about... this was a, Connie Mounty versus Foxy. Talk about, a generational battle.
Man,
Yeah, for real.
This set right here. I was like, I looked at the set and I was like, I'm gonna call it. I predicted this top 3 once I had changed around my my bracket, and I looked at this. I'm like, I was like, I predicted like it was gonna be top 3, and I'm like, Foxy's gonna get taken down by what's it called, by Connie, and I had Connie resetting, but you know how that shit goes. But I had Tekken Master ultimately winning, but Connie resetting, but like that didn't happen at all. But like this set right here, the reason why I was like, okay, this is gonna be kind of difficult for Foxy, is because Connie's nature of him wanting to get in so bad, and the thing I knew what was going to happen is Foxy's gonna try to play this keep away game, but Connie is going to just need that one chance to get in, and then it's going to be over. That's really what I knew. It was like he gets that one chance, Foxy's done, because there's only so much you could do. And when I knew it was a wrap, you rarely see Foxy go for like a DP on reversal. When he did EXDP and they got blocked, I was like, oh, this man's feeling the pressure right now. Oh, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is really happening right now, man. Connie's doing it. Connie is doing it, and he did it. Like, it was crazy to watch in real time.
Yeah, I think, man, like Cage, like the one thing he doesn't have is a projectile, right? Or like,
but he has a 9-frame mid.
But he has EX Shadow Kick. So it's like, yeah, he doesn't have zoning, but he has the best anti-zoning tool in the game.
8 frames, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're...
8 frames.
I mean, I got a lot to say about EX Shadow Kick in the set versus Javier coming up, but
man,
in this matchup, like, not only was he able to kind of get in when he wanted to, I mean, he was able to corner him when he wanted to. I mean, I remember there was one point where he chases him down to the 2-1 corner, Foxy, square waves out, and then immediately gets ran down to the other one. Like, it was crazy. And also, EX Perry put in work this set. I mean, like Foxy's game plan with Katana is like this kind of runaway style, and then when you're getting frustrated, when you're kind of about to get in, it's strike throw time. And it felt like every time Foxy would get in for the strike throw, it would get parried, because it's going to cover both options. And Katana doesn't really have the low to punish it. And, I think Foxy tried to sweep it once, but like that's not the risk reward you want to be playing with your offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, EX parry, just 2 frames.
It was getting so much mileage for him.
Thing ever. That thing's stupid. I hate it. And the mind game behind it. Too ridiculous.
Yeah, this felt fairly dominant for Connie, which, I mean, Katana's a super good character. This might be one of those matchups where she doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, that just shows you, like, once Johnny gets in and Johnny knows how to do things well, and like that parry mind game is established alongside with the throw mind game,
and he will
the
get
strike
in.
throw becomes the strike throw just becomes that much more vicious when you have to worry about parry alone. So like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he will get in. I mean, EX Shadow Kick, you'll get hit if you're trying to play this defensive game plan. Like, you'll get hit by a few of those.
Oh yeah, you definitely get smacked up.
Yeah,
Grand finale.
not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Losers finals.
We have Javier in Connie's set.
Oh wait, wait. You had said. I forgot he got fourth. I keep on forgetting he got fourth.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about. That's what I was thinking about. I keep forgetting he got fourth. Javier and Connie. I kind of figured out I was going in because I see him play on Rips a lot. And then I don't even think Javier's ever taken it over Connie. I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned in the last set, like the 8-frame EX Shadow Kick, right?
Yeah.
And that speed on that reversal was a big deal in this set because he was able to really challenge the blades, the chain spin offense in a way that really only Tekken Master was doing, right? I mean, just the speed of it. Like, there's some stuff that like Cage can armor through that other characters can't. Like, I know, like Falk, you probably know this as like a Kenshi player, where how the speed of EX Shadow Kick really changes the way that you have to structure your offense against him.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's the same here for the Scorpion matchup, where Bladeskin to Striker Grenades is just not as free as it is against some other characters.
There's a lot of ways for Johnny to essentially rob you of your offense. He has really good access to just so many quick reversal options, quick pressure options, and
an invincible.
That was just on full display. Yeah, I mean, 2 bars for basically just stealing away any kind of momentum you have is a small price to pay, especially given how much bar he's building.
Mm-hmm.
That motherfuckers is getting. Oh man, I felt bad for Javi because this is like Shadow Kick, bro. It's a really good move. It's really fast. You gotta hold it, and he's gonna get in, and you gotta be like, man, please stay back. No, it's Johnny. It's literally here's Johnny, and he's here to stay. Like, god damn, the character.
But shout outs to Javier. I mean,
big shout outs to Javier.
He took this character farther than anyone I think thought. I think he showed that, you know, at least with this team, the Scorpion Striker. I mean, Scorpion's a good, like, he's got tools, right? He can compete with this team. You know, you see a lot of characters where people get hung up on the base character and how strong they are independent of their cameos. But I think, you know, pretty much everyone in this game has some team that makes them competitive. And, you know, if you're a player that, you know, wants to play this kind of defensive, kind of scrambly style that Scorpion enables, I mean, you know, you can really play to his strengths and, you know, make it to top 3 and, you know, the second biggest event for MK1 so far. Yeah.
Honestly, just been, completely insane for a character to just be like catapulted into the forefront like that. Like, it's Scorpion's always been, I think, he's definitely been for a while like a character regarded as bottom 1, right? Like, it's either between him or like maybe sub.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Javier is just changing perspectives. Which is interesting because I think it always does take a certain player to really change the opinion on, like for the masses when it comes to this kind of stuff. And he just showed a way to approach. It really just extenuates how Javier wants to play the game, and he does that really well. I feel like he doesn't have a defined play style. He just has a way he wants to play, and he'll find a way to make that work with Scorpion, regardless of the game.
Yeah, I mean, props Javier. Do we want to talk about this grand finals now?
Grand finale.
This was
a mop.
Kind of a mop.
It was a big mop.
Wasn't particularly close.
And it's a shame because Kenny did actually get the opportunity at the run back, and this time we did see him on Johnny Cage again. But I'm not gonna lie, Tekken Master made top 8 look free.
Yeah,
man. Just Jesus Christ, this man had everything on deck. I mean, everything. But I'll talk about striker grenades. Like, holy hell, he chucked so many of them hoes, bro. It wasn't even goddamn funny. Like Jesus Christ. Like oh my god. What you really saw, like when we talk about the master breaking it down too in those frames, every decision was pretty much covered because he knew this man wanted to challenge in certain situations with that 4-1, especially that 4-1 in like that neutral move and trying to enforce those plus frames, that +3. And what was that man Tekken Master pressing? Down 4. Very good range and definitely good at stopping that approach. And spacing out that stand 2 as well.
Outrageous the 4-3 from Johnny as well. It's like able to force trades with low hat if it comes down to it. It's just he really looked so comfortable.
Like he couldn't get anything started at all, and then when it come to like when it came to the kick, when it came to shadow kick, I saw what I love what Tekken Master was doing. He walked up slightly, not the forward dash or the back dash, because it has a little recovery on those. Walk up slightly before he called grenades. Made sure he blocked the shadow kick in some cases because he knew the shadow kick was coming, and then let the grenades do the work. Before after the what's it called, the hat came through. And using that stand 2 once again with the head advantage to get that full combo. Like it was really creating a problem for Connie's like, man, I can't get in freely because I got to worry about grenades like up close afterwards. And then the Pokemon game that was happening. And then that's when the throws really started adding up in that set too. Like you saw Tekken Master dash up and just throw dashing up and throwing Johnny is insane to think about. But that man legit dashed up like 3 times at one point and threw Johnny.
Yet I'm so conditioned, right? Yet I'm so conditioned with the down 4s, with the stand 2s, with the strike grenades, with the willingness to just throw out like chop in the neutral as well and just be covered. He had Kanye in the palm of his hand throughout that grand finals.
Right, and Tento talked about this a little bit, but the defensive utility that Striker gives you is so good. Like, the fact that those nades are as delayed as they are kind of enables you to play this defensive mind game where, all right, he's going to do something like a low hit hat to try to cover a shadow kick. But, you just got to, he calls Striker, you stand in front of him. Like, you can't really stick out a button, even if it's a situation where against any other cameo it'd be safe. But in this case, something that a tool that that you might really rely on in a lot of matchups. In this one, it's gonna get you killed. So,
yeah, man. I mean, obviously it was mentioned before. Go watch Masher's breakdown to that final round. That was crazy. Like every single micro decision that went through both of these players' heads, I don't feel like Kanye necessarily was making bad choices. I just think TM knew what he wanted to do and knew how he wanted to approach and was counterplaying that to perfection.
Yeah, no, Kanye was the same player that was mopping everyone else in this tournament. Tekken was just different.
He's just better. Kanye was 9.5 and Tekken Master was just 10. Well, actually, I would say like more so 9, and then Tekken Master was 10.
Connie, GG's, you did well, but I did better.
Yeah, Connie was in a tier of his own in this event, and Tekken was in another tier of his own above that one. This was a very this grand finals was a very clear top 2 at the event for me. I don't think really any of just from watching these guys play, I don't really think anyone else could have made it here.
He would dominate. Way too strong, way too ferocious, and definitely deserving of the top 2 for those cases. So shout out to Tech Master and shout out for Connie because I know that was a kid that nobody was thinking we all knew okay, it's really hard for you to be that good online, and when I mean that good, damn near placing top 3 in most of the online circuit events in your region, and that for not transfer offline, and he definitely proved it. And I really hope that his parents and everyone works with him so he can make it out to Combo Breaker, because that's a player that I would love to see in that final sense, not just to see for points wise, just to see how they shape up when the game is developed that much in the next year,
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do we want to talk a little bit about, kind of two events in, talk about the Pro Tour and kind of the state that we're in points wise going forward? Because we got two more offline majors that are going to get you points. You have the event in Brazil. I'm blanking on the name, but it's coming up, I think, relatively soon. And then you have Combo Breaker, which is down the road in May. And then, you only get two of these events to count for points, right? So, and with two of them being with one of them being US based and one of them being international, like there's a lot of players that are just not going to attend both, just for financial reasons. So a lot of it's going to come down to this online circuit. Like I think there's a lot of players that maybe didn't do well at ECT, like a lot of American players that didn't do well at ECT, and a lot of international players that didn't do well at UFA, that are really going to have to start looking at winning that online bracket if they want a chance to make it to Final Combat.
Yeah, that's very true. Especially, I mean, the Brazil tournament coming up. This is another thing, like the Brazilian territory and like South America, in general, when it comes to MK, are extremely strong.
For sure.
So it'll be interesting to see if we do have a lot of players from outside that region able to attend. That'd be so good, because then we actually get to see things about what the turnout there is going to be, because a lot of people, they are running out on the chance to be able to secure themselves a spot in the finals. And Final Combat, should we talk about how many people are actually qualifying for it?
20
Right.
whole people. It seems like it's going to be 19 through points and then 1 through LCQ, which is wild. So the online tournaments and these last two pro comp stops are going to be the only way that people are able to secure themselves a spot into Final Combat. Obviously, the more points you have, the better your seeding is going to be, the less likely you are to run against someone that could be a favorite to win the whole thing straight out the gate.
Right. Like if you win the LCQ, I mean, yeah, great job. But you're not necessarily in a position to succeed at that point, because you're gonna probably have to face either a Sonic, a Ninja, or even a Tekken Master. I mean, those are the three players that I think are really
Probably the three scariest players at the moment.
Those players I think are in the running to get that top seed most likely. And that, I mean, that's a tough spot to be in. So
yeah, and it's like even then, it's like the players just outside of like the top 3 or the top 4, because you've got like Counting Money and Ninja have the same amount of points, Sonic and TM have the same amount of points. You got players like Zombat and Javier, which is crazy. Obviously, players like Rewind have a very strong chance of making it after a really good performance at ACT. It's just looking crazy. Same with like VGY. Essentially, everyone there is going to be a killer. So it's not like you have an easy path. That's not going to happen. It's just, do you want to make your path potentially easier, depending on how you're feeling? But yeah, last chance qualifier is going to be an absolute scrap. I'd imagine a lot of people are going to be attending that if they are unable to go to the other events. And people that might not perform as well as they would have liked when it comes to the online pro comp are probably going to be in attendance as well. But two people that got top 3 in UFA were known for being extremely strong online, and another player as well in the top 8, Axstar, was known for being really strong when it comes to online competition. So these players are very seasoned. Other players that didn't make the top 8, players like Law Corridor and stuff, within Europe West, I can mostly speak on, and even some players that we've seen in high level competition before that either didn't make top 8, attended UFA, or didn't. Players like Disarded, his brother was there with him as well, Takinata, Mirko as well, Zoker was there in attendance, like a lot of really familiar names in the European quadrant. So every single one of these online pro comp placements are going to matter so much more, because the people that went to UFA and did really well they have the potential to further secure themselves the spot and guarantee it. Right, so they're still playing for the win. They're still playing for that. None of them are complacent about it, but then the other people have to work that much harder to try and earn that spot.
Yeah, in these online events, though, they're gonna another big factor is that they're all regional, right? So you need to be very confident that like you're kind of the best player in your region, because I believe that like don't you have to win like your online series to qualify? Like, or is it point based?
I don't know.
I thought it was
I
just
feel like it's point based.
It's point based because they say on the thing on the rule set there's like 200 points if you take an online event.
Okay.
But I believe there's also like there's certain regions that you can like it's regional, because if it's 20 players that I'm thinking of, I want to say that it's like top 14 in points, and then the
5 through or like 4 through online, and then
Yeah.
and then a one last chance
that-
qualifier.
It just feels to me like if you're trying to you're trying to qualify, if you're a consistent offline player, that is the most straightforward path to qualify, right? Getting a top 8s or top 16s at these offline events. If you're trying to qualify through these online stuff, it feels like you need to be dominant in your region. Like you need to be confident that in your region you're the best player to qualify through that route, versus like through going to some of these offline events, which obviously they're difficult, right? Getting top 8 at a major is no easy feat, but you can play some more bracketology, right, to try to get as many points as you can, get a good run going. Versus, these offline events, these offline events I feel like are going to be brutal. Like, if you need these offline tournaments to qualify, bro, people are going to be sweating. Like, people are going to be
People are
stressing
going to be terrified.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those events for sure. I believe they're starting up in February, right?
Is it going to start in February?
I want to say the
For
online
online
stuff.
Procom, I have no idea.
Yeah, well,
I can assume that they might start in late January.
oh, January. Okay,
Like might start late January.
you might know a thing or two.
Yeah, it might start in late January. It could start in February, but it could very well start in late January. It could
Right.
possibly be a factor.
But yeah, and
That's
when
why I
those
do.
events do start off, you're probably looking at least for NA players, a long break between seeing some of those guys compete. Just because like I'm not expecting a ton of players to travel out to Brazil for this next major. So a lot on the line for this online stuff, and for Combo Breaker especially when we do get there. Jeez, I feel like this is not the first time Combo Breaker has been in this position where, oh, this is the last time you have to get points.
It's going to be a bloodbath, and I'm just going to laugh watching it, bro. Like, that's going to be hilarious.
have
I
so much
cannot
fun.
wait for that one. Like, I just cannot wait to laugh, and people are just like, literally, like, you're going to have those people on the side that's like rooting for a certain person so they can knock someone away in the points. And then you got that person on the side that's like trying to coach and trying to do everything in their powers to like also like negate the person that they don't want to get the points. Like, it's gonna be so funny, bro.
Yeah. Like right now we're so early in the Pro Tour that like, most of the players getting top 8 at these events like didn't have any points going in. But once we start getting later and it's like, okay, like I need to get this place, but I also need this player to get worse than this play. You start doing all that, the
It
math.
gets so funny, bro.
That's when it gets fun. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, anything else we want to talk about before we wrap up this episode?
Hey, Kenchi. Sorry, you two. I love you guys.
That's funny because I love Kenshi.
I love you guys.
Yeah, it's actually really
I love
funny
you,
that you hate Kenshi, Reiko player.
I love you, Falk. I tolerate you, Bacon, but I hate Kenchi.
Hey man, Scorpion has higher placements than Kenshi right now. That's all I'm saying.
That means
I hate how accurate that is.
Like there were a lot of Kenshi players at UFA. I only saw one on top 8, and he wasn't on the stage.
That's crazy.
all right.
It took me a second to process what you were talking about. That one had to go through the mental churn right there. I had to really think about that.
Yeah.
I was like, who the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's me! Oh my god!
You guys got it. Okay, you guys got it.
Anyway, Falk, why don't you tell the people, where they can find you?
Stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back. That is all I have to say.
Is that the Twitter
Nah,
handle?
Dude, that should be my Twitter handle.
That would be crazy.
I would love for it to be so unnecessarily and awkwardly long for people to type in or search. That's so on brand for me. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Falcon, Falkunn, and that is how you say it. Is Falcon. It's don't go butchering that. I swear to God, I hear it too much. It makes me sad. And then if you want to follow me on Twitch, where I am a complete degenerate live on the internet, it is Falk_MK. So FALK_MK. That's for Mushroom Kingdom.
Right, and
That's
as
pretty much
always,
it.
as always, all the links going to be in the description. Thanks so much. It was fun to get a player from from the.
It's been a blast, man.
Yeah, from the other side of the scene.
Oh yes, the British representative.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, no problem.
Sure,
no problem
thanks
at all.
for coming. And thank you guys, all like 17 of you that are going to be listening to this.
We might get a boost. Don't worry.
This one's going to pop off. I believe in it. But yeah, thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this this breakdown. I'm not going to make any promises when the next episode is, because I don't know.
We definitely won't.
Maybe when we feel like it, we'll do something. And like always, leave us some feedback. Who you want to see as guests in future episodes, and any topics you want to discuss, and how your day was going. We could get a little parasocial on this channel. But yeah, take care, everyone.